Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Goodman and I am your host of the Furbabies podcast and the upcoming Furbabies Summit. I'm here with our Furbaby question of the day, which is, should I microchip my pet? What is microchipping exactly and why should I do it? So the resounding answer to this question is yes, if you can, you really should absolutely get your pet microchipped. A microchip is the size of a grain of rice that your veterinarian will implant between your pet's shoulder blades. Each chip carries a unique identification number that can be read by a special scanner, and that number is what directs your pet back to you. Now, how do they find you? It's kind of like a serial number or a VIN number, but it's registered under a holding company that has your personal information on file. This includes things like your name, your phone number, your email, your address, and an emergency contact. And this is the best part. Many of them have a spot where you can upload your pet's health information and a photo. It's safe to do, and your pet may actually be awake when they do it. Sometimes the sight of the needle might be a little frightening, but that's in line with most pets, so your vet will work to make that part of a distraction so your pet isn't focused on him. The goal is to make it as easy on your pet as possible, and it works. If you've ever given fluids to a cat before, as an example, they generally use a needle that's about an 18 gauge up to a 22 gauge. They're really small. The needle for a microchip is usually a 12 gauge needle, and the chip can pass right through it. An 18 gauge is tiny, like a sewing needle, and the chip needles aren't big enough to be worried about. So that's one fear that you can cross off the list. Oftentimes, the chips are implanted during your fur baby's spay or neuter surgery, so it's under anesthesia and doesn't bother them at all. Now, I do believe in watching for side effects, so very rarely you might find that the chip migrates from the neck scruff area to another spot, or you might see some swelling afterwards, or some hair loss, or a very mild infection. It's really, really rare. I've not seen that happen, but ask your veterinarian if you think your pet might have any reason to have an adverse reaction, and that's a good thing to do with any procedure. But why should you microchip your pet? Let me give you a few examples. Number one, if your pet accidentally gets out of the house or the yard or the apartment, a number of things can happen. They can be lost. They can be stolen. They can be picked up, driven off, and dumped somewhere else. They can be hurt. They can be killed. None of these things are easy to wrap our heads around, but statistics show that 1 out of 3 pets will get lost at some point in their lives. It's a bit terrifying when you love your fur babies as much as we do. Microchipping gives them the chance of being found and returned to you. As an example, and let's just go with the scenario that my pet is alive but slipped out on walkabout first. In these cases, your fur baby may be having the time of his life out there running around, sniffing out the options for mating season, or surfing trash cans. He doesn't think about the health issues he has, or the special medication he has to have by 5 o'clock or he'll get sick. He's just having fun. Meanwhile, you're at home, totally freaking out, calling everyone you can. Luckily, a neighbor or a kind passerby sees your fur baby, picks them up, and carts them over to the vet's office. There, the staff can scan this little rascal and the chip number will lead them back to you. Those are some of the best phone calls you can get. So make sure your information is up to date, always. In some of the other scenarios, like your pet is stolen, or picked up and dumped, or worse, is hurt. If someone rescues your fur baby, you have a chance to get them back and get medical care for them. Now, some of the microchip companies out there even give you an option for sort of emergency insurance. That's not the same as your regular pet insurance, but it can give your baby a chance at emergency care while they're trying to get a hold of you. A sad scenario is one where your baby is hurt and maybe passes away. There is at least the chance that you may have closure to know what happened. It's a very hard road and one I wouldn't wish on anyone. Number 2, another reason to microchip your fur baby, if something happens to you. We all deal with health issues and accidents happen every single day. That little spot in your fur baby's profile that lists your secondary contact or your emergency contact, yes, that's important. That gives those attending to you the chance to get help for your fur baby by reaching out to the contact on file. It's easy. It's a safeguard and a backstop that may truly just save their life. Going to a trusted contact is better than being uprooted and put in a shelter where we just don't know what can happen or what their resources are. Number 3, something happens while you're traveling with your fur baby. Sounds unthinkable, but it does. You can be driving to visit your family or friends or even to the vet and suddenly be involved in an accident. Your fur baby is thrown from the vehicle or escapes their crate, or you are flying and their crate breaks and they can get lost in an airport. Yes, they do happen. It's absolutely terrifying. If someone manages to capture your fur baby, they can also use that chip to identify you and get your baby home. Number 4, you experience a natural disaster and your fur baby is lost. We've all seen the news with the coverage of the wildfires and the horrific tornadoes, the hurricanes, and the floods. It may even be that you have a house fire and you're not home, or a storm hits close to home and damages it. That's also terrifying. You may not even be able to get home to your fur baby, and your fur baby may escape and run from fear or become lost. These things happen in scores every year. Collars can be lost. The chips stay. Any kind of disaster where your pet can escape and be lost is grounds to have a safety net. And a microchip may be the only chance you can give them in these instances. It's worth it. Another aspect of microchipping is that in the profiles, you can list out any health condition that requires medication. And if your fur baby is rescued and being held, there is a greater chance they can get that medication for them. They can also give medical care or medications on exam if it's something your pet relies on. So think of our fur babies who need sub-Q fluids, or they take heart medication, or insulin injections for diabetes. These are the kind of health issues that call for daily meds. You can put that in the profile. So make sure your information is always up to date and keep an updated photo on hand in the profile. Microchips are inexpensive to place and to keep up with. The registrant companies charge less than $30 a year to keep the registration up to date and will help you send out flyers to vet offices, or you can print them and place them at shelters while you're searching. They really, really are one of the easiest safety nets we can provide for our babies. And it may not always be 100% perfect, but it's something, and that's better than nothing. So, have you ever had a microchip pet returned to you, or have you found someone else's? What happened? Feel free to share in the comments. We love hearing about our fur babies. We're happier when they're home. So that's our question of the day. If it's been of value, these kinds of questions and more are some of the topics that we'll be covering in the upcoming Furbaby Summit, so you can go to furbabysummit.com to get signed up. We thank you for listening and for being the amazing fur baby parent that you are. Sending purrs, wags, joy, and love to all of you. Have a great rest of your day.